Yes, your Minnesota Vikings are right now allegedly around $23.5 million over the salary cap and do have to be under by the start of the new league year on March 15th. But there's ways. There's ways around the cap because hashtag cap is a myth and because and the cap is indeed fungible. And I know people don't like the idea of kicking the can down the road, but the whole thing about it is that the cap generally goes up, especially with the new TV deals. You're not charged interest on carrying a balance into future years, so it actually does make sense. And the Vikings are set up with a lot of Spielman-era contracts that the Vikings can easily get rid of with little or no cap ramifications and cap damage. So the Vikings, even though right now they're in kind of rough cap shape near the bottom of the league, they can free things up like that, and they're gonna have to make some tough and awkward decisions. And we just wanted to walk through. This is over on Over the Cap, the calculator, and this is very simplistic, back of the envelope map. So do not hold this against us. But going through and making decisions, let's go. So currently the Vikings $23.485 million over the cap. We'll go with that now. We're even going to skip over easy things like extending Kirk Cousins or extending Jefferson or extending TJ Hawkinson, who's due 9.329 on his fifth-year option. So things like that easily could and should get done, even though, yes, I understand the whole extending Kirk Cousins thing, but whatever. With Adam Jerome, Ezekiel Elliott, we're actually going to make him a post-June 1st cut. Right, so that spreads out the cap hit over 2 seasons. So submit that. So that frees up around $13 million in cap space like that. With Brian O'Neill, we're going to do a restructure because O'Neill is due a $14.4 million base salary. That would be very easy to do a simple restructure. So basically what's going to happen is we're going to take the bulk of his base salary, convert that into a roster bonus, spread that and prorate it over the remaining years of his deal, and really spreading out the cap hits. So traditional restructure here. So that frees up nearly $10 million in cap space. And like I said, we're going to skip over some pretty plausible ones of getting Harrison Smith to take a pay cut. Potentially Zadarius Smith, potentially working himself into a new deal, which could lower his cap hit. Sure, we are going to cut Dalvin, so that will, even though $2 million of his base salary is going to become guaranteed due to his shoulder surgery. But moving on from Dalvin frees up around $6 million in cap space. We're actually going to skip over Daniil because extending him could lower his cap number as well. Again, we're only hitting the super easy, the super simple ones that are likely going to happen. Kendrick's probably cut. So that frees up even some more cap space. So now we're at $15 million and change. And just going down the list. All right, so Diesel Dalvin Tomlinson with his void year is 7.5. Now, if he's extended, that only counts as 2.5 because they're able to spread out the hits a little bit more. I would love to have Diesel Dalvin back, but that's another kettle of fish. So then another easy move. Moving on from Jordan Hicks, he signed a 2-year deal, so that frees up around $5 million in space. And then if the Vikings actually cut Justin Jefferson, that would actually free up around $1.7 million in cap space. But nah. Then CJ Ham. I love me some CJ Ham, special team leader, but he is 30 years young, and also the Vikings are moving away from the fullback, so moving on from CJ and freeing up $3.8 million in space, it's probably going to happen in that spot. Then you also have Ezra Cleveland, who we mentioned would be a very enticing trade candidate for a left tackle needy team. He's heading into the final year of his rookie deal. No money is guaranteed on his salary, so the Vikings will free up around $3.4 million in space there. And then Chris Reed, who also signed a 2-year deal, no guaranteed money left, so moving on from him would be pretty easy. So, again, we only touched on the very simple moves that the Vikings are likely going to make. We didn't even touch on extending Kirk Cousins. We didn't even get into the contracts of Harrison and Zadarius Smith. We didn't even get into extending Danielle Hunter or extending TJ Hawkinson and Justin Jefferson. So all those moves could conceivably free up even more cap space, but we moved the needle from negative 23.485 million in space to almost 30 million in cap space. Again, on very simple moves that the Vikings are very likely to make this offseason. So there's ways. Even though the Vikings are up against it cap-wise now and are going to have to make a number of moves to get under it in the next couple of weeks by the start of the new league year, they can do it. But like I said, it's going to be luminaries from Vikings glories past that all of a sudden are going to be shown the door or going to be asked to take a severe pay cut. So there's going to be a lot of changes. And Kwesi is a GM. He doesn't necessarily have an emotional attachment to these players. He didn't draft most of them. He didn't extend most of them. So he could be showing a lot of Spielman guys the door, and the Vikings are going to have cap space. They can be players in free agency. They can extend the guys that they want to keep and just go from there. But it can be done. Anyways, your thoughts are our thoughts. Looking at how the Vikings can free up $50 million in cap space like that. Let us know your thoughts or our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. We'll support the work. Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.